All right. Hello. It's Wednesday. Let's get into it. I was actually looking at this PR, just jumping right in. So if you're here, if you found me, you know that I was talking about, as the title suggests, user impersonation, and I actually came across a PR, a draft PR that's out here for the framework already, and I was just kind of looking at its implementation, which kind of proves my point. If we ignore kind of all the doc block comments and all the code and the chatter and the noise here in the comments, the actual implementation code for user impersonation, is like a dozen lines. It's a couple lines to impersonate, and it's a couple lines to unimpersonate or stop impersonating or whatever. And I have no idea why GitHub is going absolutely ridiculously slow right now. It's either down or there we go. So anyway, there is a PR to put this in the framework. Again, this is a very commonly used feature. There's a lot of packages out there that do this, but seeing that it potentially could be in the framework soon, or again, that its implementation is only several lines of code, I just feel like I could write this myself and put it into the app. It doesn't have to be like super awesome. I'm going to be the only one using it, so long as it's protected and locked down to just me, and there's a little bit of security in there. We'll look at that in the comments. I really feel like I can just write this, and if someday this PR ever gets merged, then of course I'll refactor to use what the framework gives me. So to that point, let's just kind of jump over to the side project here. And I feel like the side project is a really good candidate for this because it's a lot more visual than Shift. There's a lot more UI that happens within this project. And because of that, it's going to be really helpful for me to see kind of the flow and the different screens and kind of go through that. With Shift, I've never really needed user impersonation because a majority of the errors that occur, if there is a problem, happens kind of on the back end, so to speak. And not the back end as in Laravel, but it happens in the automated jobs, or issuing the commands to issue the pull request to GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. And these are all things that have logs, and they kind of happen outside of the website. They're not really part of the UI. So as such, there's nothing for me to really see. And if I do need to see something, I just ask for a screenshot. But again, with the side project, there's more visual steps, there's more UI, there's more forms, there's a lot more live wire. There's just things that happen dynamically on the site. There's not as much, again, kind of technical backend. It all happens through the site. And so impersonating a user, I think, is going to be helpful here. So let's kind of think this through for a second. Going back to this, again, they've only changed 2 files here in the implementation for Laravel. And again, if we look at this, the way you could look at this is there's really a quote-unquote endpoint that really just makes sure you're allowed to impersonate. And then if you are, it regenerates your session, puts your old user ID in so you can switch back to yourself, so to speak, and then it basically logs you in. Again, if we kind of get past all these security concerns, it logs you in as that other user. So again, that would imply that there's a little UI to maybe check for the user or pick a user that you want to be assigned to. But the service itself, the piece that does the impersonating and the unimpersonating, all happens in just a few lines of code. So let's see if we can write it, right? All right. Hey, Martin, Mark, Marion. Geez, all the M's this morning. Look at this. Martin, Mark, and Marion. Thank you. Favorite developer. Oh, I appreciate that. That's nice. All right, cool. Let's get into this. I'm trying to think. I probably want a controller that allows me to impersonate and then unimpersonate. And again, I probably need a bit of a form. So in my mind, I'm thinking a resource controller. So let's just do something like PHP artisan make controller. I'll go ahead and say -r for the resource controller. And for now, I'll just call it the impersonate controller. Again, very generic name, but we'll just roll with it. I don't want to get bogged down. Again, I like to keep these streams under 30 minutes these days and just kind of get in and get after it. Okay, so we're not going to need index. I'm going to leave that alone. Show the form for creating a new resource. So in this case, creating a new session that I will use for the other user. So I do want to keep create. So that's going to like eventually we'll say to do display the form. Display the form to choose a user. Oh my gosh, another M. Lewis, I'm sorry. You might have to temporarily change your name. All right. Okay, so here on store, we'll actually want to do the impersonation, and then we won't need show. That's not here. Oh, Bernard. All right, Lewis, you're safe. We got other names now. We're no update. We're not going to update anything. Destroy would be. I think destroy is basically unimpersonate. Right? Okay. So I think this is what we want to do. All right, and again, I'm not going to worry too much about the create form right now. Again, that'll slow us down. So let's kind of focus on store and destroy, and then I could always just kind of like hack the URL or something. We can just put a really simple form to make us go there. Oh, Steven. All right, everybody's good. We're okay. We lost the M's. Okay, so at a high level, let's go back and look at what they're doing here in the proposed PR. Okay, first of all, we're making sure that you're allowed to impersonate. I don't really have to worry if you're authenticated or not. I can put this behind the auth middleware. So I don't have to be so careful as this implementation for the framework. I see why they're doing that. They want to make sure that that's, really good because again, it's framework, it's mass use. For me, we can just use a simple gate here, I think. So we can say something like gate allows impersonation, and if not, then we'll go ahead and bail, I suppose, on that. So let's bring in our gate, and we'll say if not gate allows, or I think there's denies, so that's better. So if gate denies impersonation, we'll just, again, this doesn't have to be pretty, we'll simply just abort 401, right? You're not authorized or unauthorized to do that. Okay, so we can put that gate, register that in our app service provider, since this is a Laravel 11 application. Okay, so if you're allowed to do what we want here, then we're gonna assume that the request has a, let's just assume right now it has a user ID. Again, that's all based on the form, but let's just assume that we now have a user ID. So we'll basically say user equals user find or fail, and we'll say request input user ID. All right, so, and again, that'll first or find or fail. So we'll do that, or I guess, can you do find or fail, or is it just first? I think it's just first or fail. So let's bring that in. We'll do first or fail. Ooh, abort if. I always forget about those. Beautiful. Yeah, we'll refactor that in just a second. Very good one. Okay, so we got user first or fail. Again, that'll just throw a 404 if something happens there. Again, this is all administrative stuff. It just doesn't have to be pretty. I'm fine with these, large errors that happen. 401, 404, whatever, who cares? Okay, so we have the user now. So again, going back to this, we basically effectively want to do, let's turn this into request session. There we go. Let's drop that in as well. So we'll say request session. I think regenerate takes a true or false to destroy. Yeah. Now, okay, so find or fail will work. Yeah, okay. I always forget which one is. I mean, they're both a thing, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Now, I'm not going to read through every single one of the comments here, but I do want to bring up some stuff that Valorian talks about here. Steven, he's kind of our Laravel resident expert. He speaks at Laracon, does security audits for all the kind of the big companies using Laravel. Anyway, he's kind of the go-to when the framework is curious, hey, what are the security implementation or implications of this? And basically he's suggesting that two things. One, you need to be careful when you just say regenerate. Basically, his concern is that you can leak session data between these sessions. So for example, I'm an administrative user. I might have things in my session. I go and I switch to this user. I don't destroy my session. My session data now becomes part of that user's session data. Now that might not seem like a big deal, again, because of an administrative thing, but he kind of points out, again, if you go through all of his comments, that if, say, for example, you're using like a database session storage, it's possible that that session data that's from your administrative account would overwrite a session inside of the database for that user. And when that user goes in to log in next time, or maybe if they're logged in at the same time, they might now suddenly have access to administrative level session data. So he's suggesting that you not only regenerate it, which cycles the session ID, but you pass this destroy true to make sure that there's no more data in your session. It gets wiped out, all the data inside there, and then now you're kind of starting a fresh session. So again, I would encourage you, if you're going to write this yourself, to kind of read through his comments and or wait till maybe someday this is implemented. But they really talk about how all of the packages out there that do, impersonation, they've rarely seen them do this kind of, security awareness type steps. So I think there's opportunity for us to do that, mainly because, again, this is my application. I know that there's not really many places I use session data beyond Flash messages, so it's probably not a big deal, but I'm going to go ahead and pass this destroy true. We'll just kind of see what happens. And then after I destroy that, I regenerate it, I'll probably want to stuff into the session, we're already doing that up here. What I really would want is really my old ID. Now, let's also talk about that. Two things, and again, they talk about this in all the security comments. I really don't need this. I'm the only person that's ever going to impersonate a user. There's not multiple administrators of this system. So long as I'm allowed to do this, then really when I go to unimpersonate, I just go back to being me as the user, or log in as me. So I think I'm going to leave this in here for completeness, again, in case I ever add another person. But I think this, since we're destroying the session, we'll need to go here afterward. And here we can just put in something like, impersonating, and pass it in the request user ID. So the current users, we destroyed the session. So we probably need to temp variable that, maybe, I don't know, we'll find out. But we'll store whoever's doing the impersonator, or let's say impersonator ID, something along those lines, not a real word. And then now we'll do auth login user. And let's, bring that in, and then we'll redirect to route. We'll have to go make these routes. We'll say impersonate dot create, and we'll say something like, with impersonating, and then maybe something like user email. All right, so we'll pass a little flash message back to the old stuff, and that's just kind of a little long, so I'm just gonna clean that up a tiny bit. All right, cool. So I think this is pretty good. Let's kind of keep going down to destroy and basically just do all this in reverse, and then maybe we can make a quick view that just allows me to submit a form to be some other user real fast, just to see this working. What time is it? Yeah, I think we're doing good on time. Okay, so unimpersonate. Basically, I don't know why we have string ID. That's strange. Why would we get an ID? I don't know why we get an ID. We'll bring in request though. Request. And so now we basically do all of these things kind of in reverse. So let's just take this and we'll say yeah, if you deny impersonation 401, if we'll say request session, is there, I thought there was a missing on session. Is there? Yeah, there is. Okay. Just didn't have the autocomplete. If it's missing impersonator ID, then same thing, we'll just abort with like a 400 bad data. And then same thing, we'll do user, but now we'll do it in reverse. So we'll take request session get this impersonator data. Whoops. All right, so we'll pull that out. Again, first or fail, it'll throw a 404, and then we'll just do this in reverse, right? But we don't need to stuff that into the session anymore. It'll get destroyed when we regenerate. We go back to our self, and we can just kind of get rid of this. Or well, we can say impersonating false, maybe. How about that? That way we know you're no longer. So if the session's set and it's false, then we know that we've unimpersonated. And then if it has anything other than false in it and exists, then we know that we can give a different message. So these are just all little messages that would go back to this impersonating create page. So let's go make those web routes. And let's make sure to put them under the auth section. So there they are. And I'll just throw them down here. So we'll say route, whoops, route resource impersonate. And we'll say only create, store, and destroy. Destroy. All right, cool. Let's go make a very, very fast form. All right, hold on. Let me check the comments here. I'm seeing some stuff. Okay, when passing an ID, I think you need first find or fail because, oh yeah, duh, good call. Okay, let's go back and refactor some of these things. There were some good comments in there. You're right. This is just an ID, so we do need find or fail. Otherwise, I have to provide it a query. So I think this is the way to go because I have an ID, so that's right. Same thing down here, find or fail. Good. All right, what other kind of comments do we have around here? You have different impersonator ID and impersonator. Okay, so I misspelled something here. Impersonator. All right, let's just copy what I have. Impersonator. All right, I think that's better. We also need this gate, so let's catch up here. So did we call this impersonate? Yes, we did, and we need to finish our route properly. So let's call this impersonate controller class. Cool. We will replace qualifier with import. All right, cool. And now let's go to app service provider. There's some stuff in the app service provider that there's some people's email addresses. So let me do that off screen here in just a second. Let's see if this actually works now by saying return view. We'll say impersonate create. So let's go make that. Make dir resources views impersonate, and then we'll touch that create.blade.php. All right, let's go look at that. Create. I'm hearing you on the board if. I like that too. I'm working fast here. Let's check out the layouts that we have. Let's just make it look somewhat clean real fast. All right, so let me close the comments and stuff here so I get more screen real estate. Okay, for now, we don't have any X data. We're not doing all that stuff. So let's just method post. Let's keep this simple. We'll go to impersonate store. And for now, I'm just gonna do a really gross input. We'll just do a simple input, no errors, and a simple submit. All right. So let's just get this right. For now, we'll call this user ID, autocomplete off, all that's good. Old reference, user ID. And again, I may search by something else down the road. There's no placeholder here. Let's get rid of that. We got the submit button. Let's make sure we don't have any weird states on that. We don't. I don't need all this transition stuff. Let's just say impersonate. All right. I think minus some general HTML ugliness, this should actually end up appearing. So let's clear that out. Let's do PHP artisan serve. There shouldn't be a need for any migrations or anything. Let me try to log in. So we'll go JSON query. This is all development, so I think it's just password. That's not right, just kidding. Do I have everything seeded? You know what, let me just mf demo, yeah. Okay, I think, just so we can test the impersonation, I think this gives us 2 users. I think it gives me and then Joey, who's working on this project with me. So I think if I do user all, yeah, there's Joey, he's 2. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if I log in as me, JMac, and then I try to impersonate Joey, right? I think that's the thing to do. So this is the wrong email address, which is why I'm having problems. Let's go to WPPM.io. We'll say password. We'll sign in. Oh, I killed it, of course. Probably ought to open a new terminal window. All right, let's try that again. Refresh, continue. Okay, so I'm on the plugins page. Everything's good here. Now, theoretically, I can go up here to impersonate, create. There it is. There's our simple little form. Cool. So if I put in 2 here, which is Joey's user ID, and hit impersonate, I'm going to get a 401 unauthorized because, again, that gate doesn't exist. We need to go make that gate. Let me, you guys are getting full screen JMac here. Just hang out for a second. me unshowered, all glowy. All right, so I'm going to go to the app service provider. I'm going to add this gate, and this is basically, we call it, what did we call it? Impersonation. Okay, so if it allows impersonation, so basically user, right now I'm just going to do something really simple and just say the user ID has to be 1, meaning me. Let me go refresh the page. Okay, cool. Let's go back. All right, let me close the app service provider. Let's go back to not full screen me. Hello. All right, cool. Hopefully everybody's seeing my screen again. Okay, I hit refresh to get rid of the 401 because of the abort. So now, if I go to account, oh, it's going really slow. Okay, no subscription. Oh, okay, all right. That's kind of bad data in the seeder. Let's go to preferences. I'm trying to see if I can see who I am, but I can't. So 2 things. 1, impersonate create. We need a little visual display here to kind of get more information on kind of who we are, because unfortunately the account doesn't work right now. So let's go to our view and let's do 2 things. Let's add a link that's going to allow us to destroy who we are, and then just really simply up here, let's just, for now, I don't have to wire up all that Flash stuff. Let's just here say user, or we'll just say email equals request user email. And let's bring in request. I like to use the request. Laravel gives it to you. It's automatically injected. It's all right there. All right, let's just up here, we'll say something like P currently logged in as, and we'll say email. All right, if I refresh this, my hope is that I'm Joey. Perfect. Okay, now let's make a real quick link around this to kind of sign out or unimpersonate, and we'll see if we go back to me, and then we'll kind of do it again, and that'll be that. So I think, I'm trying to think, if we go to admin and we go down to log out, yeah, I just want to borrow this form. They do a nice job of because technically it's its own form, because you need to kind of fake out the method for destroy. So this is really impersonate dot destroy, and we would need to say at method is delete, I think. Yeah. All right, and then button submit. Let's get rid of this Alpine stuff, and we'll say something like unimpersonate. Now, technically, you wouldn't show this all the time, but for now, oh, impersonate destroy. Is it delete? I always forget. What are you? PHP artisan route list. Where's impersonate? Impersonate, create. Yeah, impersonate destroy. What's wrong with you? Did I spell something wrong? Impersonate destroy. Why don't you like that? Oh, required parameter. Why is there a required parameter? Oh, do I have to make this like one of those singleton resource? I think it's technically like a singleton resource, because there's no, yeah, singleton. There we go. Let's check this again. If we go back up to impersonate, where are we? Oh, those are L's, sorry. Can I not spell today? Where'd impersonate go? Route list, impersonate. Did I just lose impersonation? What's going on here? Route singleton, name controller, that should be right. Where did impersonate go when I changed it to singleton? That's funny. Does it put it under a different place? Or am I just nuts? Is it like singleton resource? That's strange. All right, I'll come back to that. I don't want to get stuck. Maybe destroy is not allowed on that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I was trying to be quick about it, but it's not going to work. Let's just, whatever, who cares? It doesn't matter what the ID is. We'll just say impersonate equals 1. Who cares? Well, 99, just so we don't see it anymore. Don't want to get that confused. All right, let's go back to serve. Let's refresh. Okay, cool. So if I hit unimpersonate, I would expect to become JMac. Oh, that's interesting. So my gate needs to check. See, I'm currently logged in as Joey. Joey's not on the impersonatable gate. He's not part of the whitelist, the admin list. So right now I'm logged in as him. So when it's checking his user, it's saying 401 unauthorized because his email address is not my email address. And that's who I'm currently quote unquote logged in as, right? Because I'm impersonating them. So the gate needs to be updated to basically say, is the current user this person, or is the ID in the session, part of that whitelist? So need to tweak the gate a little bit here. So let's do this. Just to prove that it works, and in the stream, let me refresh. Let's log out. I'm gonna sign back in as me, JMac. We're gonna go, all right, yes, I know, it's just the generated password. All right, we're gonna hard code, impersonate create. I'm in as me. I'm gonna do 2 for Joey's user ID. We'll say impersonate. Now I'm Joey. And to prove that I'm Joey, not only do we have this email address here, but what I just explained, I'm not authorized because Joey's not part of the admin list who can impersonate other people, so the gate's failing when he goes and tries to unimpersonate. So that works. Yeah, there's definitely some UI that I need to fix, but to the point before, if you take out the boilerplate code and some of the checking that we're doing here, you have what, maybe 20, 25 lines of code, a couple dozen lines of code to do impersonation, and to do it to the point of the security comments that are all over that PR, to do it theoretically in a much more secure way than anything else out there. So there's no need for a package or anything else. It's all kind of right here, and maybe eventually this will get, put right into the framework, and I can just go in and change all my request session stuff to just be straight off facade, to be able to just impersonate directly. So even these lines of code would end up being, all much smaller, much trimmer. So that's pretty fun, minus the randomness on singleton resources there. I'll go look that up, and of course I'll clean up the UI and use these flash messages that we built and so forth. But that ends up working pretty well. Okay. So it looks like just to kind of level this out, it looks like you can say creatable, destroyable on the singleton. The singleton probably assumes update and whatever. So, technically it's not really a singleton. It is, but I'd have to chain a bunch of methods on there to say creatable, destroyable, and blah, blah, blah. So what I'll probably do is just do a resource, drop off, destroy, and make another route for that. So that way you don't really need to pass an ID in. So I think if I tweak the gate and I tweak those routes, all the underlying code, the actual code for implementing that, implementing user impersonation, all of this works the way I want. I think this is pretty good. I just kind of need to clean up the UI and tweak those routes as we saw. So anyway, thanks everybody for taking the journey with me. See you all next week.